Okay, I'm back. I paused it there because it takes a long time to tape it together, and I didn't want you to have to watch me do that whole thing. So where I left off was I told you to tape the foil pieces together to form the basic, using the basic shapes to create the body. After you have that done, just barely the pieces connected, then the next step, we have to cover the whole armature with masking tape. And the reason for that is because when we go to add the paper mache layer, paper mache doesn't stick to foil. So we need to cover every part with tape so that the paper mache goo will stick to the tape. You can pre-cut some pieces of masking tape, that's what I did, or just rip each time, it doesn't matter. And just take the time to make sure that you're covering every single piece of foil. You'll notice that when you're doing this, you do kind of lose a little bit of the shape that you initially sculpted. And when you do the next layer with the paper mache and the newspaper, you'll lose a little bit more. That's why it's important that the first step of the foil with the armature, that you can get it as lifelike as you can, like as realistic as you can, because along the way you kind of lose a little bit of it. So if it starts out blobbish, like really blobbish, then it's going to end up really, really blobbish, is what I'm trying to say. Okay. I wanted to show you something else when I was talking about how great foil is as a material. It's so flexible and malleable. I told you how I made that curly tail. Then I flattened it out because I want to show you. I flattened it, I'm going to cover it with tape, and then I can re-sculpt it the way that I want it to be after it's covered. Sometimes if you have little teeny tiny details, it's hard to cover the foil with tape. But you can do what I'm doing here, for example, and move the foil and then move it back. So here I taped it out first, and now I'm going to go back and sculpt it into that cute little curly cute tail. Okay. You can also take the time to press down the tape if there's pieces sticking up. You want to get a tight connection between the foil and the tape. And then lastly, you were probably wondering what the tag board was in the to-go packet. There was a folded piece of tag board. I included that because you can use tag board for special features, things like ears or wings or fins or long necks. And what you do is, for example, I'm going to use it for the pig's ears. I'm looking to make the shape like these pointy triangles that are kind of rounded on the bottom. So I'm going to hold that up to my animal head, and you could have done this before you attached the head to the body to make it a little bit easier. I forgot to show you before. But you'll hold it up so that you can tell the size. And you'll draw the shape that you need and then cut it out. If you're making ears, you can do that trick where you fold the paper in half and then you get two, or just draw two and cut out two. It's up to you. Also, when you're doing this, you should have more than enough tag board. If you make a mistake, like if you make the ears too little, just go back and do it again. Make them too big, then just trim them around. And like I said, you could do this if you're doing like a shark fin or the shark tail. You can use this tag board. Maybe elephant ears, it would work for well too. Okay, so here I have the tag board for the ears, and then I'm just going to fold it a bit on both sides. Let's see here. I'm doing it in reverse, sorry. Okay, here we go. So then you would tape those on as well. And again, make sure that it's taped well so nothing's falling off or you don't have any flapper dappers of tape. I'll show you a little bit closer up. Also, I'm going to show you closer up how once I stop this, I'm going to go back and double check that, see every little spot where there's foil showing, double check that you covered it. Also, I didn't mention this before and I'm thinking of it now. As you're working, when you're putting your legs on, you have to make sure that it's going to balance and it's able to stand. And that might take some manipulation, like you'll have to try, maybe one leg is too long or too short and you have to manipulate it and change it a little bit. That's part of the lesson of this, is figuring it out and thinking of other ways to make something work. So if you're having trouble with that, just keep at it. You can always go back and get a new piece of foil or take foil away. But that's something to keep in mind, is that your animal should be able to stand up on its own. If you chose an animal that doesn't have 4 legs, I will tell you that's a little bit more challenging, but there's a way to make it work. If you need help brainstorming how to make that work, then just reach out to me and let me know and I can help you figure it out. All right, this concludes our armature step. So this is it for step number 1. You're a third of the way there. And along the way, if you have any issues or things that you want to ask, feel free to email me and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. You could also reach out to an older sibling if they've done this before. If you have a Markham sibling that's older, the process is the same, so they should know it too. But I'm excited to see what you come up with, and I look forward to getting your emails, and I'm willing to help at any time. All right, thank you, and stay tuned for the second edition where we're going to do the paper mache part. All right, bye.